Happy New Year, Belmont! Today's show is about ringing in the new decade, 2020, and looking back at the past decade of change, many changes that have happened in Belmont, including right here where I'm standing, Belmont Center. Right next to me is the brand new clock that was installed by the Belmont Savings Bank Foundation. It was donated by them to Belmont Center, and it's a forever historic landmark now here in Belmont. That was one of the many changes that happened over the past decade, as well as the cleaning of the railroad bridge, which is in my background. Looks a lot better than it did before they cleaned it, thanks to Dante Mazzioli and his crew who cleaned it up. And, you know, they did improvements to the sidewalks here in Belmont Center. They did things to make it more pedestrian friendly. You know, they invested a lot of money, but other areas of town, they also made a lot of changes, like Trapello Road, the whole corridor. That project was finally finished. They've done a lot of road improvements over the past decade. They also started a lot of new developments in the past decade. They tore down some buildings to do that, like in Cushing Square. We have the Bradford, which is in progress. So I predict that in the next decade, you'll see a lot of other changes. You'll see the Bradford finally getting finished. You'll see new marijuana stores opening, because in the past decade we approved zoning for those marijuana stores on Pleasant Street, and there's already been 2 letters of intent received by the town to open marijuana stores. And there's a lot of new storefronts that opened in the past decade, and maybe we'll get some other changes, like where Macy's was. I believe there will be some big changes happening there in the next decade. One thing that may not change in the next decade is the traffic. Unfortunately, over the past decade, traffic has grown in Belmont. Belmont has become a cut-through town, unfortunately. I don't see that changing in the next decade. I wish it would, but I don't think it will. So let's go around and talk to people. We're going to go around and talk to people about what they think of the past decade of change and this new decade. I'm here with Gerry Dickhaut, owner of Champion Sporting Goods in Belmont Center.
Hi, boys.
They've been an anchor store here. I don't know if you call you an anchor store, but I would say you are definitely a landmark store here in Belmont Center for at least 30 years?
31 years. 31 years.
31 years. It's known as the cut-through. We've got some little guys over here cutting through. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
They want to watch. You can hang out, guys.
I thought it would be great to interview Gerry about the past decade of change as we get ready to ring in the new decade, 2020, because Belmont went through a lot of changes the past decade, especially Belmont Center. So let's talk about some of those changes and what you think of them, like for instance, the Belmont Center improvements that were made and the cleaning of the bridge.
Right. The cleaning of the bridge took us about 10 years to get someone to clean it, but it was cleaned. And then the improvements of the sidewalks. We redid all the sidewalks. And then we have new businesses come in after Filene's and Macy's left. And as Drew Sawyer would say, it's been quite an improvement.
Yes, I want to introduce everyone to Drew Sawyer. He is a longtime Belmont resident.
Since 95.
And he is the husband of Heidi Sawyer, who many Belmont people know. She's very active in the Belmont community.
It does a great job.
Yes. My official name in this town is Heidi's husband.
I like that. So what do you think about the past decade of change, and particularly the changes to Belmont Center that were made, the improvements?
Well, I think the center is fantastic. Everything from the Christmas decorations to the flower pots, the newly paved road, the different restaurants that have opened, and now we've got a new high school going in, which is just going to take the town to a whole new level. So it's pretty great.
Is there anything that you'd like to see change in the next 10 years as we ring in 2020?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I do think that the challenge is that when a town rises up, things like rent and things go up, and then do you lose some of the small, really stores like Champions, which are the heart of the community, and we just don't want too many of the big chains. So support local.
I agree on that one. Yes. No big chains.
This is on, right, Gerry? Okay.
Yeah.
What are your hopes for the Macy's? I don't know which one of you want to answer this. The Macy's spot, there's a vacancy upstairs as well as the vacancy downstairs. We know changes will be coming there, but it's been a long time coming. How many years has it been? I think since 2013 or?
Yeah, I thought it was 2013 or maybe 5 or 6 years. But as everybody knows, the rumor is that CVS is moving across the street in the fall of 2020, and then hopefully we can put some new businesses in the basement.
Not ready to say that yet.
No, not yet.
On the record.
Yeah.
And even CVS is a rumor.
That's true. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's good to go.
Would be good, but it's been so long, and a lot of businesses have had to leave as a result of that vacancy, right?
A few, yes, so far. Yeah.
So how have you been able to stick it out all this time?
Customer service, dedicated customers come here. They sell what they need. We sell a lot of Belmont stuff down here.
Okay, and back to you, Drew. Right? I got it right?
You did.
Okay. Anything that you wish happened in the past decade that didn't?
Well, I wish it hadn't taken so long to get some of the key overrides approved, which were really necessary for the roads, the school. I think I felt like Belmont was in catch-up mode, and I feel like when the high school gets built, we'll be caught up, and we'll be in a much better position for the long-term health of the town.
And you are aware that there is another override and debt exclusion, which will probably happen in the next decade.
Yes, I mean, I think there will be, probably several over the next decade or so. You just can't help it when your town costs are rising faster than 2.5%. You either are going to cut services or you're going to, raise your tax base. So it's a delicate. I don't think we want to change the entire culture of the town, but it's a tough one. That's a tough one. A lot to pay for.
It's either get more commercial tax base, which could happen with the possibility of 2 marijuana stores opening on Pleasant Street. I'm sure you heard that Pleasant Street was zoned for 2 marijuana stores.
I had not heard that, so that's news to me. I think a big change in the town that happened was obviously having liquor licenses for the restaurants, and I think our entire restaurant community is just so much better than when we first moved in the town in the mid-'90s. It's just, there's many, many times where we now stay in town for a dinner as opposed to going out of town. So I think it's awesome.
We have 11 restaurants in the center. We have 11 restaurants in Belmont Center.
And you own one of them, Stone Hearth Pizza. Co-own?
Co-own, yes. There's 4 of us, all from Belmont.
How's that going?
So far, so good. Yeah, come on down and try it.
And then we have a new one that opened up, Jamaica Jeff's. I think he's doing okay.
He's doing okay. Yeah, come on down. It's very tasty food. Give it a try.
What about Belmont Savings Bank being sold? That was another big change in the past decade. What do you think about that change?
Yeah, it was tough to lose them. They did a lot for the community, but it looks like Peoples is taking over, and hopefully they'll stay the course and do the same.
Mm-hmm. How about you? You have any thoughts on that?
I don't really. I mean, the Belmont Savings Bank was a fantastic institution, gave a lot of money to different civic causes in town. So if that continues, it'll be, I think, sort of a non-event because People's is a very good bank. They have a very good reputation. But if it doesn't, we could feel it here in Belmont.
Well, actually, I think it won't because Belmont Savings Bank Foundation is remaining its own entity, which is really helpful. But they're now just their new mission is Belmont focused and something that would benefit. They'll give to things that will benefit the community as a whole rather than just like one particular event.
That's great. I had heard that. I didn't really know how much money was involved or what the scale of their new charter is, but that will be great for the town.
Any other predictions or hopes for the next decade?
Just that Gerry's golf game can get a little bit better. I mean, last time we played, I did beat him. I don't know. I just want to go on the record of saying that. So
He did beat me by 3 or 4 shots, so I'm looking forward to next year. Yeah, to be getting back at him.
Wait, you mean when you're not here, you're golfing?
Yes, I am, as much as possible. Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yes. Yeah.
How about you? Hopes for the next 10 years?
Yep. What Drew said, that my golf game gets better.
No, related to Belmont.
Oh, related to Belmont. Well, that everything keeps the same. We still have the small stores that stay in business, support Belmont local stores. And hopefully the Macy's building will get filled up. Yeah, and we'll be all full.
I know, and there's been a lot of businesses that have closed, but businesses have come in their place. I'm trying to think what's still empty right now.
Nothing except for Macy's, because Helena's went in where the old Dirty Pedals was. So we're all filled up except for Macy's. Yeah.
Okay, well, not bad.
Right. Keep it going.
So Gerry,
go ahead.
another change that happened over the past decade was that the Belmont Center, the famous Belmont Center Railroad Bridge, finally got cleaned because it was not looking so good for a long time, right?
No, it was terrible. It was so dirty. It was just the rain from years and years, and I tried to get it cleaned for 10 years calling the MBTA, but never returned my calls. And then finally, Angelo Ferenzi put a group together and raised $10,000. And about 4 years ago, Dante Mazzioli and his crew cleaned it a couple of nights, and looks great. So much difference.
Why do you think that was such an important change?
Because it was so dirty. Looked scummy coming into Belmont or leaving Belmont. Yeah, the new lighting there in the bottom. Looks so much better at night just driving through there, how clean it is.
One of the things I have to admit, because I'm also a Belmont resident, but one of the things I have to admit I'm a little disappointed about that did not happen with the Belmont Center improvement project. You can go ahead.
No, I'm not walking through. I'm picking something up.
Was that they didn't do anything to help with that bridge intersection, which is really always kind of a mess.
You mean underneath the bridge?
Yes, I mean when you're trying to take a left or a right and going under the bridge.
That I don't think anything will happen with that. It's twice a day it happens, morning and night. No lights will go in there, but there's never any accidents there. It's just
I've been told it is probably the lowest rate of accidents, and that if they did add a light, it might cause more traffic backup.
Exactly, right. Same thing as we asked them to put a police officer there about 15 years ago, and he says, no, we've tried that years ago, and it didn't work. It just backed up more things.
I know when I was teaching my daughter to drive, that was one of the places where we wanted to practice a lot because we were very worried about that. And it's almost like you have to know bridge etiquette. Like, I think people should just take turns, right?
Take turns, that's the way it should go, but sometimes it doesn't. Other people cut everybody off. Some people are courteous.
Sometimes. I mean, I caught myself. I've almost, done something I would regret, and I realized that it's a teacher behind the wheel of the other car. You got to be careful because this is a small town.
Right, exactly. Yep, just be courtesy to everybody and you'll be fine.
Well, we're going to go talk to some other people on the street here in Belmont Center and see what they think about the past decade and the decade to come. Let's go talk to some people here at the Belmont Lions Club, busy selling trees for the holiday season. Let's go talk to them about the past decade and the decade to come. Okay, here we are at the Belmont Lions Club, and I'm with Dan McCauley. He recently retired, fairly recently, as Belmont's 911 operations manager. We all miss your voice, Dan.
Yes, I'm the guy that was, hi, this is Dan McCauley from the Belmont Police Department. For everybody that never knew what my face looked like, now you do.
Well, we do miss you, but we're glad you're still very visible in town.
That I am.
How long have you lived in Belmont?
I lived in Belmont for 47 years and recently moved to Waltham.
How could you do that?
It was a tough decision, very tough decision, but it was time after my daughter got out of high school. With the price.
We're all moving to Waltham, Dan.
With the prices of the houses and everything, it was kind of an offer I couldn't refuse.
I'm not too far behind you. So we're going to talk about the past decade of change. There were many changes in Belmont. We've already talked about some of the Belmont Center improvement changes, the Chapello Road corridor. When you look back at the past decade, what comes to mind as something that changed that you're happy about?
That I'm happy about.
Besides you retiring. How about the Belmont Center and the Belmont Police Station renovations that finally started?
I'm very happy for that. It was well needed, very much overdue. When you talk building was built in 1931. It's used 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. It hadn't seen any major structural renovation since it was built. Just some superficial paint and stuff over the years, and it just really needed to be done. Wasn't safe anymore for modern day policing.
So now in the next decade, within the next 2 years, we will see a newly renovated police station along with a 3-story addition that they're adding on to it.
Yeah, the addition part is the part that was needed, a sally port, so when they bring in prisoners, they're not mingling with the civilian staff and things like that. It was kind of an unsafe situation the way it was before.
And another big change in Belmont over the past decade is they finally broke ground on the Belmont High School grades 7 to 12 building project.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great for the town. The other one it's seen its better days, and it was time. If we can get the rink done, that would be great too.
Oh yeah, let's talk about the rink. The rink, yeah, I think within the next decade we'll probably be seeing a new rink. What do you think?
I hope it's in the next couple of years, to be honest with you. I skated the very first day the rink opened in Belmont in 1969. I was one of the first 2 or 3 people to skate on that ice surface before it had any sides at all, just fence on the side, and the wind used to blow across the old softball field, and it was cold. I picked up hockey pucks that had broken in half because they were so cold and froze.
My goodness. Well, now they're working on, they're hoping they're going to be sending out a request for proposal for a public-private partnership to build a new rink. It'll be a bigger rink, it'll be a better rink, but there are concerns, especially from neighbors, about how that'll affect traffic in that area, which is already so bad.
Yeah, there's already a rink there, and I don't think it's going to affect the traffic. There's how many people are at the rink. When there's not a varsity hockey game, there's 20, 30 people there. It's no different than it is now.
Well, I think people are worried because it'll be new, it'll be big, it'll be better. Maybe they want to rent it more to get income, to pay the loan, to pay off the loan.
Yeah, I think I saw the schematics for it. There's also some parking included, which there isn't now, so maybe we can get some of the cars off the street and into the parking lot. I really don't see the parking being an issue, and I'd love to see them get it done as soon as possible.
Okay, I'm here with the owner of Craft Beer Cellar in Belmont Center, Kate Baker, and the co-founder and owner of the franchise, Suzanne Shalo. And we're going to talk to you two because you have been here for 10 years or more. Am I right?
In this location, it'll be 9 years on November 10th. We celebrated 9 years.
Very close. So you've seen a lot of the changes that we're talking about on today's show, the decade of change. You've seen a lot of changes in Belmont. I know you live in Belmont. Yeah. A lot of changes over the past decade.
Well, I mean, I think in terms of, from a business sense, there have been a lot of, comings and goings. It's nice to see change in the center, but, empty storefronts are good for no one. So we're really hoping to get all the storefronts filled and get them filled with awesomeness and be able to just keep the center going. And it's a good vibe that I think we've all created. There, been some really good incoming stores, and we hope to keep it that way and contribute ourselves.
Even with the Macy's vacancy, how are you able to sustain your business?
I think through really amazing beer, hospitality, and education, hand selling to everybody, greeting every customer. It's the experience from the minute they walk in the door until the minute the door closes behind them. I think people feel welcome here. They feel comfortable here. They feel like they can come in and have a conversation without knowing anything, and maybe we, send them away with great beer and a little tidbit of knowledge they didn't already have.
Well, you two definitely had a vision. You had a vision at least 10 years ago, right, about craft beer and how it could be a successful business to get into, and to open it in Belmont. And you moved to Belmont after you opened the business?
No, before. We had lived here before.
Okay, so but you, I don't know how you guys knew that. How did you know that?
We're beer geeks, so we didn't open the business because we were trying to get into craft beer. We opened the business because we loved beer, right? So that is and has proven to be a pivotal difference in the beer world as we know it today, which has changed a lot. And everybody knows that. We have a brewery that's a mile from here now, right? Just over the border in Waltham. So, yeah, I'm surprised we don't have one in Belmont yet.
Well, I hear that there is a possibility that a brewery could be coming to Belmont. Is that just a rumor?
I couldn't say. I hope so. Yeah, I know a lot of people that brew, and I talk to a lot of people all the time, certainly about, getting on board. This is a great community. I mean, that's the one thing that definitely makes a difference in what we do. There's no doubt for a second that whether we were building an educational platform or selling beer in a storefront or deciding to, franchise and open more stores vis-a-vis a franchise model, that the community got squarely behind us and always has been behind us. So that is critical. It's always critical, and I think that everyone that's in the center here shares in that, right? I think, Belmont is also can be a little tough, I think. If you're not, really in it for the right reasons, I think people can also see through that. And what is business about, whether it's beer or wine or shoes or whatever, a restaurant. I mean, I think that business is about hard work, dedication, going out there every day, providing a service, whatever your service may be. So I think if you do that, this is a great place to do it. And as Kate said, we've seen a lot of activity over the years, and we love the feel of the center right now. It's great. There are some really cool players, some strong business minds, people that get it, and I think that there's some strong anchors in the center now.
I do want to bring up something that happened in the past decade because I covered it. You applied for an all-alcohol license to sell, retail all-alcohol license, and you were one of 4 applicants, and you were not selected out of the 4 applicants. It went to a business that is now closed, the loading dock. That same business sold his license to Star Market because it happened to be transferable. I mean, when you think about that, what comes to mind?
I think what comes to mind is the future and not looking backward. It is what it was. It was not to be, and that's okay. We're in a good place right now. I think we're on solid footing as much as two crazy business owners can be. Every day is one day at a time, and it didn't happen, and it's okay. And the rest of it, the other details and other players, it is what it is. We work really hard to keep our eyes forward and focused on what's in front of us. And, if we spent too much time looking behind us or looking on either side of us, we would take our eyes off our own prize, and we don't want to do that.
How do you keep up with the competition? I mean, do you see Star Market, which now has that all-alcohol license, do you see them as big competition?
No, I mean, I think there's enough happening out there for everybody to kind of claim their own slice of the pie. And so be it. I mean, there's pros, cons, good, bad, and otherwise to shopping in a store where you can kind of get everything, one-stop shopping. We don't harbor any, negativity or ill will feelings about folks that want to do it all in one felt swoop, and that's totally fine. I think there's a place for stores like that, and there's we're carving out our own place in the industry for a place like this, like Craft Beer Cellar, where hand selling is alive and well, where customer service is something that we take very seriously, but hospitality is actually, it is a pillar of what we're all about. I mean, customer service is, one thing. Hospitality is, it's all the way up here. Hi, camera. I don't know if you can see me, but it's all the way up here. It's like the most important thing is to take care of people. Because when you do that, they come back and then they tell their friends.
I agree. I know that it's now a new decade, 2020, new decade, and you two have some plans that, some big changes that are going to be happening in this new decade. You want to tell me about them? Tell our listeners and our viewers about them?
Our hearts are in Belmont Center. And yeah, I mean, we're about to move into a 5,000 square foot space, and this awesome store that has been our flagship and really provided for us a training ground to grow our business with 26 stores in 15 states, 1,455 square feet. It's awesome that you can't even see the front door right now because there's so much beer stacked up. We're stacked so high, so it'll be great.
I know. So where exactly are you going and when?
Hopefully March. I would say hopefully March. I'll be able to help Kate and the crew here make that transition. I'm super excited because I get an office over there.
Tell us where, though. You haven't said where. Can you?
Sure, yeah, it's in the old foodie space. I think everyone knows that. I think it's pretty popular around here. We're not certainly hiding anything when customers ask us. Yeah, we're going in the old foodie space, which is pretty fun because I heard you say, like, how did you survive without Macy's? Here's the answer. Very well. Do you know what Macy's did? They took a lot of parking places, right? So without Macy's, we had lots of parking places. And beer geeks that were like, oh, yeah, I've never been to that store, could come to the store and find a place to park. So actually, at a time, 2015, I believe, right? Was it 2015 when it closed? I believe so, yeah. Whenever it was, at a time that we also were, I think maybe not concerned, but thoughtful about such a big anchor tenant, as we think of in commercial real estate, leaving a town center turned out to be the best thing that could have happened for us. So, yeah, we look forward. I hope that space will be just an incredible buzz. It'll be a great community center where people can come together. If they want to grab a, baguette and some cheese on their way home, they can do that. Whether at CBC or at a foodery that's down there in that space, whether they can drop by and have a pint from a local brewery, we'll see if that happens, if that's able to come to fruition. I know there's been a lot of talk about different things being in that space. There's a lot of space down there, 16,000 square feet. So we're working really, really hard in daily conversations with the landlord.
You're taking about a third of the space, right?
More or less. Yeah, more or less. We'll do anything we can to get the right people down there. I mean, and I think that's what's most important for us, is to have the right kind of partnerships down there, whether it's a brewery or a cidery or...
How about an arcade?
I don't know about that.
I wish you both a lot of luck, a lot of continued success. Happy New Year, and any other hopes for the new decade that either of you would like to share?
Happy, prosperous, be kind, be love, beer. Love beer.